Welcome to Uncle Ricky's house.
This dapper king is Edwin Taylor Minidock. Mr. Minidock was the first black person to run for office as the nominated candidate of a recognized political party.
No taxpayer dollars should be used to teach our kids to hate our country or to hate each other. We are not going to tell some kindergartner that they're an oppressor based on their race and what may have happened 100 or 200 years ago. You can't teach that the foundations of our country were somehow evil. And we're not going to tell other kids that they're oppressed based on their race. You can't teach history that's being used to pursue an ideological agenda.
We want education, not indoctrination. If you fall on the side of indoctrination, we're going to decline.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Uncle Ricky's house. I'm smiling because I'm listening to Jimmy Smith Midnight Special. You won't hear it when this comes out, but while I'm laying down the rant part of this, I'm listening to Jimmy Smith. So it's gonna be a good episode. But look, let's get first of all, happy Black History Month. Yay. But I'm not gonna do something every day. I'm gonna try to do maybe 1 or 2 a week, to support the holiday and support the meaning of the holiday. That's one thing. First of all, we have very few black holidays on record. And then the ones that we do have been either the meaning has been decreased, or the purpose has been decimated, or like Martin Luther King Day has become commercialized, just like Christmas or the 4th of July. I mean, Americans may create a holiday with all very good intent and reason, and big business turns it into a commercial bonanza. And think about it. The most celebrated holidays in this country are also the ones that the economy depends on financially to be big. If you have a bad Christmas, it's usually the beginning of a bad economic year. If you don't get that money out of the travel from Thanksgiving and the 4th of July, it impacts the nation. But back to Black History Week. The second part was, I guess you're starting to recognize him by now, was the wannabe new cracker in town, Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida, and the undeclared, we know he will declare probably, most likely, Republican candidate for the 2024 nomination for the presidency of the United States. In other words, the man that theoretically right now looks like the only one that can put his foot on the neck of Donald John Trump and go to the next level successfully. But let's get back to what DeSantis is doing in Florida, the little fiefdom that he is creating. And what's really weird, Florida has, term limits on governors, so all the stuff that he's doing, he can't use it to protect himself because he will be at the end of his term limit. So, in other words, to continue his little, personal romp into the world of megalomania, he has to move on. And unfortunately, the White House is one of the most logical places for him to move into. But first of all, can he actually translate into a national candidate? We don't know. A lot of people said Trump couldn't translate into a national candidate. And look what that motherfucker did. So don't put anything past DeSantis, who is smarter than Trump by unbelievable margins. Probably even more dastardly and evil if you look at the total outlook. But now, this thing with DeSantis saying that Afro-American history isn't worth teaching, This is why I chose to use Edwin's story, because Manawak was, well, I mean, a lot of people don't know about him, and even, I mean, being honest, maybe his contribution isn't to the point where, you know, he should be known by all school children, like, you know, like George Washington Carver or Harriet Tubman. But his story is important because his story, even though he is technically was born an enslaved person, his mother was free, but his father was a slave. He actually did everything, he went through all of the things that the Republican Party holds dear as the foundations and the qualities of a true American, a successful true American. First of all, he dealt with he obeyed the law. He dealt with all the intricacies of pre-Civil War, slave, not slave, what law, what state. He dealt with all of that. He survived. He overcame. He exceeded he exceeded what slavery by legally limited him, but he overcame that within the confines of the laws as they existed then. He overcame social setbacks. He was, after the war, his mother became a single parent. His father wasn't involved in his life. His mother moved just for economics' sake. And Edwin survived, thrived, and overcame. He went to college. He became a reporter. He worked on several papers, and he became a political activist. He went from Republican to Democrat, and eventually, I should have written it down, but I'm free flowing this, so I didn't write it down. But he became the nominee of a recognized political party. In other words, he went through the political system exactly by the rules and got to the head of a party as a black man. In the time when even the most liberal white people didn't think that black people were capable of the mental and emotional requirements of government leadership. Now, this is a great story. It would be great for anyone, white, black, yellow, red. But this is why DeSantis doesn't want it told. DeSantis only wants historical recognition for the achievements of white people. Now, I'm not going to say that white people weren't important in American history. White people did some great things. White people did some fucked up things. And overall, white people were in charge of the government of the administrations that formulated the history of this country, except for Obama. But DeSantis doesn't want you to know this. The way DeSantis wants to create history is that everything good came from the ideas of white people, and that Obama was perhaps an accident when white people let down their guard or tried to be, exercise equality. But he should not. DeSantis definitely wants to portray the picture that black presidents should not be the norm for this country. It's all about white people. It's all about white intelligence. It's all about, everybody can have a spot in this country as long as white people are in charge. White supremacy. And if you can't deal with that, we'll create laws. We'll craft existing laws. We'll utilize the laws that are already on our side, and we will push you into subjection. And part of that subjection is removing your history if we take your history, we take the foundations of your culture. And see, this is where American black people are in a precarious situation, because we have many cultures that we can choose from, and that is the case now. We have, people on the religious tip that we are Israelites. We have other people that, we are Muslims. We have other people saying that we are, evangelical Christians, and this and that and this and that. But there's only a very small group of black people saying that we are black people, and we must work as black people, and maybe for the first time in our lives make the things that we identify with make them not the priorities in our lives, and make the priority in our lives achieving everything that we are entitled to as black people, and not as black people of a certain religion, not as black people of a certain education level, but just as black people. We want what we want because it was given to everybody else in this country. And we did, no matter what the circumstances were, no matter what the conditions were, we have contributed. And no matter what people like DeSantis and Youngkin say, you cannot eradicate, you can't take an eraser, you cannot rewrite American history to the level that you make black contributions insignificant. Black history is just as important as Native American history, and we don't tell that straight. Black history is just as important as the history of Irish, Italian, German, English immigration into this country. Black history is just as important as Latino and Hispanic immigration into this country. If you look at from the point when America said it was America, you cannot separate the contributions of the black race, no matter what the conditions were that those contributions were made under. Those contributions helped make this country. Ron DeSantis is full of shit. Black History Month could be used to do so much good. Even I'm not talking about Florida, I'm talking about in the places where it is part of the routine. But being part of the routine does not mean that it is everything that it can be. Some people just let it be just to save the aggravation. They don't do anything to support it. They don't do anything to improve it. But the biggest waste, the biggest, for lack of a better term, the biggest sin involved in this whole thing is how we as black people don't know our own black American history, and how we as black people sit by and idly watch crackers like DeSantis and Youngkin throw out all the contributions we made towards the improvement, towards the betterment of this country, and make us seem insignificant as a people. Well, that's it. That's all I got to say for now. Y'all can think about it, chew on it, meditate on it, marinate on it. I don't give a fuck. But look, thank you for listening, and peace out and God bless until the next time at Uncle Ricky's house.